Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello, Internet. It's your boy JR again, aka DudeiRage. I'm here with my good friends Justin and Bailey, Netzi, and Jay Briswa. We're back for episode 4 of the podcast. Obviously, I'm super excited to be here. These guys are super excited to be here. We're going to be talking about building your brand today. So this will be a very interesting video for you guys, those creators out there that are watching and listening. We're going to talk about some exciting news that just happened last night. And we're going to talk about the journey, starting, having a goal, accomplishing your goals. Kind of ties into one of our other podcasts, and how to end up where you want to be. All that and more, starting now. There's a lot of directions that we could go to start this one. And obviously, I don't know if you guys want to start about Twitch streaming. I guess we could do Twitch streaming. First off, let me share the news for those of you that
get the big news out the way.
The big news is I got Twitch partnership last night, so I'll do a little like a kids cheering and some confetti on the screen. I'll edit that in. Exactly, I'll edit that in. But yeah, so we got Twitch partnership last night, and Twitch streaming is not easy by any means. It takes time. It takes a lot of work. Some people get it in a month, and I know Twitch partners that have gotten Twitch partnership in a month or two as soon as they started, and it takes other people years. In my case, it's taken 5 years, and I've learned a lot over the years of building a brand, and it's definitely, you learn a lot about yourself. It's a big building process, and sometimes it takes a lot out of you. Actually, a lot of the time, it takes a lot out of you. It just takes all your attention.
Can't even imagine.
You can't. Oh, you
I know
can't
some
imagine
of the stuff you've gone through.
Yeah, well, you've been
But
around for it.
I haven't been in your shoes though.
Well, dude. Yeah, I mean, you've been right next to me for a large majority of my Twitch journey to this point. After 5 years, I've been a streamer for 5 years. I've been creating content for that long, and I've been creating content for a lot longer than that. So really, I have a lot of experience. Since I was 14, I started 14 or 15. I started playing games, and I was trying to do YouTube, and I didn't I didn't go crazy.
What game did you start with?
Yeah, what was your first game? What was your first piece of content?
The first game that I wanted to create on was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. That was the first one. But I was watching YouTube video. I think it actually might have been 2014, 2015, I think
The
that's
golden era.
It was like the first 2 years of YouTube's existence, and people were kind of no, it wasn't, because there wasn't really a gaming.
2008, 2009.
No, what for what?
Yeah.
The first
YouTube
couple
was
years of
2008.
YouTube.
I think it was 2013 is when YouTube. No, maybe not. I don't know. It might have been 2005 actually. I think it was 2005, but gaming wasn't really a thing until PewDiePie did it on the. I started watching those gaming videos, and that's when I started. So I think it was COD 4 is when I started to do it. So whatever year that was, 2007. Is when I really wanted to start upload. That was when Optic Predator, ZZR Grizz, or I think his name was Grizz. A few other.
You remember
creators.
Yeah, Grizz, yeah.
Who?
Hutch. Yeah, Hutch and Sinan as the OGs.
See, they still create content on YouTube, do they not?
Mm-hmm.
I think they do.
Yeah,
pretty sure
I think
Hutch
Hutch
still
does
does.
more streaming shit now.
Yeah.
I think that's like his thing.
Yeah. So building a brand. I guess let me start with advice, and maybe you guys can build on this, because guys, we're kind of winging it here. Like, we weren't really sure what we were going to talk about this episode, so this is what we decided on. And its timing is perfect, because I just hit a major step, and
I feel like I'm in the initial stages of trying to figure it all out. So all this information can be beneficial for me.
Well, I think
anyone
we're
who's
on 3
watching
different
trying to-
points as well. Like we're on 3
Yeah.
different, like points in the road kind of thing.
yeah. Well, the first thing, my advice for you is, as a creator, would be you have to find a niche. And this is not something that I knew at first or I learned. I just thought I could wing it. So when I first started streaming and started creating game content, I thought it was going to be easy. And I even said to him, this is going to be a fucking cakewalk. I'm going to have 1,000 viewers by the time, within 6 months. It's going to be fucking easy. And then I can just drop everything I'm doing, and I'm just going to concentrate on
dream
this.
is just going to
Well, with content creation,
pop up out of thin air.
I've always had a very outgoing personality. I'm not shy at all, right? So and I was like one of the class clowns. People, I don't know. I like to make people laugh. I always try to make people laugh, right? So I just thought it would be easy. I'm like, oh, dude, I can make people laugh IRL. I can do this online, man. People are gonna love this. It's gonna be awesome. Like I can do what this person's doing, and I thought it was so easy. And fuck, man, was I wrong? It like an entire year of 0 viewers on the Twitch platform. But I mean, it was 2-3 hours a day, every other day, sometimes 2 days in a row, and then no more days that week, or sometimes not at all. Going through college and working 2 jobs and just trying to do all these things while streaming. And like, I didn't really know that that's what I wanted to do or, pursue until, like I said in one of the other podcasts, I was going to class, but I was writing down ideas and YouTubing and Googling how to make a successful Twitch broadcast.
I didn't mention it in that podcast, but I related to that so much. Like I find myself looking at like camera lenses in class.
Yeah.
It's probably really bad, but sometimes it just gets dry and,
And
like, your
that's-
mind just goes elsewhere.
And that's what I said. So chances are, I mean, it's possible to have multiple passions. You can be passionate about anything. And we even said it before, like if you want to change something that you're pursuing, there's no timeline. And that's something that's very important. Let me just say, like right now, as a creator, it's taken, for 5 years to this point, there is no timeline, guys. If you're out there and you're creating and you're pursuing something you're passionate about and you love it, you don't have to compare yourself. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm guilty of, is I compared myself, and I have for years, to other creators at certain points. And like some creators, like I said, a couple of months, some creators 8. I've even seen Twitch partners that have taken them 8-9 years to get it. And then there's people that have gotten it in a year and a month, and I'm looking at these people and I'm like, damn, I just must be that garbage. Like they just kill it. But
Like, you start asking, like, what am I doing wrong? Or, like,
exactly. And I mean, that's just a human thing, but it's like I was so guilty of that, and I compared myself to other creators so much that I downfalled myself and said, well, I can't be this good, or but that was good for me, because in the same light, like I was able to understand that this is not going to be easy. Like this is, even though like I have the capability of doing it, I have to figure out a way to get it out there so that people can come back and want to watch me. You know what I mean? Or, want to interact with me, want to watch the podcast or the show or the YouTube channel, whatever it may be. But so in a way it was really good. It was really good. But also, like, again, if you guys are creating, don't put yourself on a timeline. Don't put yourself, it's good to have goals. Like say, I want to get it within a year, but don't, compare yourself to other creators who have been more successful than a shorter amount of time. Cause I mean, there's no formula. It's just consistency. That's it.
I think, like we've talked about before, you could set those goals, but if you don't get them, like, don't beat yourself up over it, because, like, I don't know, as long as you're accomplishing something and keep going up that ladder towards whatever you're aiming for, like, it's all progress.
I think it depends on your niche as well, like you were saying, JR. Like you kind of, in any brand in any area, you need to have your USP. You have to have your unique selling point of like, what is it that you represent, or what is it that you give that means that you get the view over another guy, right? So in the gaming space, you've got kind of 3 options. You've either got like comedy, skill, or both. Like I suck at some video games. Like I won't deny that. I've been playing Tarkov recently, and I've
But
been
some
getting
people find that
absolutely
funny.
clapped. But some people enjoy that. They
Yeah.
enjoy my reactions or how I react to things. Or there are some streamers that do really well who say very minimal, but are insane at stuff. Like Shard's a prime example of that when he first started streaming.
He's still the same way. And you know who's like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
too? Is Smoke. Smoke
Yeah.
says very little, but he shreds. He balls out. He kills everyone. He's insane.
And then people
they love
go
that
there
shit.
for that.
They love that
If you
shit.
can
Yeah.
accomplish both, then that's great. But then I also find if you do both, then you kind of lose out on that USP, and that's something that I think it takes a while to learn, is to isolate your niche, not only audience-wise and section-wise, but in regards to what you want to represent.
Arguably, I think that's a really good selling point in itself. If you can be both, because there's not that many, dude. Like Summit's another prime example. He's both. He's shit at some games, but some games he's really fucking good at, and he's hilarious the entire time, no matter what. So it's like Summit. I mean, look at the guy. I mean, I was just watching him last night. 30,000 viewers playing Escape from Tarkov. He was high out of his mind, but it was like he's just so funny. And the servers were down. He was just sitting there shooting shit. Like he's still holding 30K strong. I mean, it's.
Yeah, because then they're there for personality, not just the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a bonus if you
Yeah.
can do both, right? But I'm with you. I completely agree. You have to be funny. Well, okay. So you have to be funny or really attractive or very good. Seriously, man.
Or
Like
all three. If you're all three, you're like top 1%
it's
GT well
just
played.
it's just like modeling, man. Like
Yeah.
you not a single person on the platform or the brand could sit there and say that they don't watch a specific person because they're attractive. Not a single person. I'm guilty of it. There are a few streamers that I watch because I think they're gorgeous. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. I don't care about League of Legends,
Oh,
but
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I don't care about League of Legends, but I'll watch Candyland all day. I think she's beautiful. It is what it is, man. She's super smart. She's silly. Like, I'll watch her all damn day. But I mean, it varies from person to person. But yeah, so building a brand, like a niche, obviously you would start there. You have to find out what kind of platform you want to pursue, if there is a platform at all. Do you want to make a platform? What steps would you take? Basically, you have to destroy yourself and build yourself back up piece by piece, and kind of dissect each piece and figure out, if what's good and what's bad. And you have to be honest with yourself. And obviously with like Twitch streaming, like you have to be prepared to put yourself in front of a camera and take that criticism, or that the people are going to destroy you. But there's also going to be a lot of positive notes. People are also going to build you up and love the channel, and they're going to compliment you all the time. And one of the things, actually, that, speaking of, since building a brand, and somebody said this on Twitter. This is not my original thought, but since I've seen it on Twitter, I've been thinking about it a lot. But like, as creators, we're all guilty of it at some points. We get built up so much by people, like we kind of get like a chip on our shoulder, like a cockiness, not really a cockiness, but like, okay, like I got this, right? And then once one person comes along and gives you genuine criticism or breaks you down just a little bit, there's backlash. And not every caster, gets used to that. The positive. Not every caster reacts the same with a negative feedback, but there are a lot of times when somebody gets a negative note and they just world's over. It's over.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well, especially on this platform, is a lot of the steps you take come from making the mistakes, but also come from how much you've matured in that space. So like when I started streaming, I had no idea. Like to click start streaming is one thing, and to get overlays and all this stuff is one thing, but no one that starts has any idea really. You might be like, oh, that's like, I go into some streams, and obviously my taste isn't everyone's taste, but I see banners all over the place, and it's like super busy, and I don't really like that. That's not what I look for.
I'll
So
be
like
the
my
first one to
stream
admit it. I hate it.
is just webcam and most recent alert. That's it. That's all I have. I have alerts that pop up. That's it. But at the same time, it's like you learn kind of how to present yourself in a way that makes you look like a brand, if that makes sense, as opposed to the generic Twitch streamer, because I've seen a lot of channels and their content could be really good and their personality could be really great and they could do really well, or maybe doing really well, but the way that they're presenting themselves as a brand is limiting their potential progress, if that makes sense. So they've downloaded like free overlay packs or something, which like loads of people have because it's quick, and they haven't put the time in to develop their own brand. Because you don't need to pay to do that. Like I didn't do that. I just used Photoshop, did the blah 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 blah, and it's there.
I think that kind of fits into standing out, because
yeah.
if you start downloading all those overlays that everyone else has, it's the same thing in photography. Like people download like presets for their pictures, and it's just like that doesn't set you apart from all the 50,000 other people who are using that same preset. Like you have to do something that's different.
Yeah,
that's where it could be tricky.
And you're absolutely right, dude. Like I think one of the biggest misconceptions, or like a beginner mistake, I would say, in the beginning of streaming, is that a lot of streamers will download shitloads of overlays and they want all these things all over the screen, and like and I actually have a few people.
Every alert bot.
Every alert bot, every like MooBot, Nightbot, they got them all, dude. Like, and I have Stream Elements and Nightbot in my chat, but each one has its own purpose, right? One's the point system, and then one's to help me with commands and help the mods and all that stuff. But so like one of the biggest mistakes is that they'll have all this stuff on the screen, and and you know what? Another big mistake too is talking. And it took me forever to learn this, but you have to like self-narrate even if no one's talking to you, because like it's just, you're not gonna, it's gonna be silent, and like And if I want to watch you play a game and you're just not talking, I can go play that game
Yeah.
and not talk and think to myself anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like
One of those things where like even when no one's chatting, like
you have to.
there
have
could
to-
still
you
be
have to
many people
carry that
watching.
on.
You don't even
Yeah.
know. Like
Mhm.
I think a big thing is not paying attention to like that little number that's in the bottom of the screen.
Mhm.
And if you're not paying attention to that and no one's talking, like you could still have 10 people watching and you'd have no clue.
Yeah. And
So
this
you
is
have
the
to
thing.
talk
OBS
like as
has
if there is.
delay on viewer count too. Like if you're the type of
Yeah,
person you're
yeah.
starting out and you're like, oh, I want to see like who's in the stream. You could like hover over and it might say like 3 viewers. You know, like you and a couple of buddies. You know, it is what it is. Now you could get a spike of like 5 or 6 viewers, and you could not check for a minute. And then if in that minute, if you haven't said anything, you've lost out on all those viewers because you're
Mhm.
so focused on catering to the number in the corner, you're not catering to the content.
Mhm.
And so many people are guilty of that. Even I was guilty of that, and I still am to an extent. But you just learn to be like, look at it this way: if you saw any of the top 1%, like Doctor Disrespect, Shard, Summit, whatever, they would be the same character to 50 people as they would 50,000. You
Mhm.
know, their character, their brand doesn't change depending on the foot flow through their channel. So if you can apply that to 0 viewers to 10, you're already in the headspace to go from 10 to 100, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. And you don't need to do the whole like, oh, I need to rebrand myself. I need to change how I am, because some people don't like change. And also, brand stability is one thing. Like, I've had to rebrand myself like twice, I think, because going from like playing DayZ, like as my main game, and then I had to take a break because I just didn't enjoy the game anymore and I was beating a dead horse. And
Mhm.
then moving over to this, that, and the other. Now I'm doing Tarkov, and it's like I've seen
I fucking love him. He's
like
great.
all of my audience be like, "Oh, you don't play DayZ anymore? Bye." That's really rough to like. I don't know, JR, you had a similar experience when you kind of stopped playing DayZ, and that's difficult because you have to cater to the brand you build, and if you don't make the right business decisions, then that
It
can
all just
really,
crumbles.
yeah.
And you know what? And there's no right time to know when it is to make those changes. But I would say earlier as a creator, when I made changes to my stream several times, and early when I had very little people watching, and that was the best time for me to do it because I didn't have like a big shift. So it's like now we'll notice the drop. Like if I'm not playing DayZ, I'm not
Every
sure what
move is crucial.
everything is crucial, right?
Yeah.
Like the people that they want to come to my channel, they want to watch me play DayZ standalone, which is completely okay. Like I do love DayZ and I don't mind playing it. But you know, you have to make shifts as a creator too. Like you can't just stay in one section over time. I mean, you could if you could do like find fascinating ways to create content out of it still, even if it was like super dead. But
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that. You know, it's very hard to follow in the footsteps of the creators before me that are, I mean, just incredible. I mean, some of the creators that I get to play with and work with now are absolute legends that are definitely way before me as far as like progress and achievements and success go. Running Man Z is a perfect example, man. Like he's I think we've been playing the game the same amount of time, but he's definitely been streaming, creating longer than I have. And those are big shoes to follow. I don't know how I could do that, you know. And like the goal is obviously not to compare myself, like I talked about earlier, and try to be as good as him. But I want to try to be my own sort of, you know, set my own sort of legend and name in the channel, or in the not the channel but the section, and put my brand out there and try to set my own legacy for people to follow me, you know, now after I've come. And you know, eventually there might be a day where I might not play DayZ anymore. I don't know if that'll be a thing. It's too soon to tell.
You gotta know when to take those risks. Like like you were saying, it could backfire. But I think if we're talking about streamers, Deadly Slob is a huge example.
Yeah.
He was averaging like, I think it was like 300 to 500 viewers on DayZ daily.
I think it was.
I don't really remember.
Yeah,
but
I think you're right, because he was him and Running Man Z. He was the biggest one, and Running Man was like right there with him. And then when he left,
he went to
Running
EFT.
Man just skyrocketed. And granted, Running Man was always great, but like Deadly Slob was fantastic too. So it was like, and he was there, and
taking that step into EFT. If people don't know, EFT is Escape from Tarkov. It's like a survival shooter. But
it's a very hardcore shooter.
Yeah, taking that step
way,
into the section when there's already tons. Like there was like 5 or 6 streamers with like 1,000 views each, probably at that time, around
Yeah.
there.
I don't
So
even
last
There,
know.
time
there
I
was, it was a
watched,
competitive
It
section.
it
It was
wasn't
very
even.
competitive.
No, it's more competitive. It wasn't like that in the beginning. Escape from
it
Tarkov.
is now.
It
It
is
is now.
now. It is now, but it wasn't
Mhm.
then. So like when Deadly is so
But
understand.
to work your way up into that, like that's what
he,
I'm trying to say.
he was one of the originals. Actually,
Mm.
Escape from Tarkov, and like like I know Sean, and that's Deadly Slop. He's so fucking intelligent, dude. It hurts.
Mhm.
Like the guy is just so
That's why I
smart.
liked watching his DayZ content, because it was just
Mm.
He's incredible, man. So like
the way he thought while he was playing. It was
I know, dude.
crazy.
He's almost as good as me. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like so he would start on DayZ, and I remember this jump. I remember he was like talking about like, dude, this new game's coming out. It's Escape from Tarkov. We're gonna try it out on stream. I know you guys want to see me play DayZ, but like I'm super excited about this. And I think it was sitting at like 200 viewers, maybe a little less, between 180
Yeah.
200 viewers at the time. And obviously now some days he's at 20,000 viewers. You know, when
Yeah,
Tarkov's
yeah.
got a new wipe, I mean, which is sensational for him. But yeah, to watch him say like he'd go in from 8 to 12, he'd do 4 hours a DayZ, and from 12 to 2 he usually does 6 hours, 8-hour streams. He'd stream Escape from Tarkov. And when Escape from Tarkov first out, it was like MP5s, baby AKs, Kivers, and Paca armor.
Yeah.
It was like the best thing, and Ford armor. And dude,
And
and
hatchet runs.
he like, and the way he does things, like every game he plays, even like if you go back to I can't remember if it's League or WoW, he played those. That's how he started his content creation. Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, anyone in the comments. I'm pretty sure it was League or WoW, but I watched some of his old stuff on the old platform that he was partnered with before on YouTube. And every game that he plays, he's so like, he just dissects everything and puts it back together in a way so that average people like myself can make sense of what he's talking about. He's done it for DayZ. He's a fantastic explainer, man. Everything that he does, he destroys it and he builds it back up and he puts it back together in a different way so that normal people like myself can understand it. He did it with DayZ. He did it with Tarkov. He did it with Tarkov very early on, and because of that, he became a
That's why I
brand
started
name
watching
for
him.
Tarkov. Yeah, he's just
Because
he's so
I don't
intelligent,
even
man.
own the game, and when I was watching him, like it was every day for months. It got to the point
Yeah.
where I actually burned the game out because I was watching it so much, and
Mhm.
like he just, like you said, broke it down in a way that I guess no one really could.
Yeah.
It was just like palatable, and I don't know. It was
Yeah. And I think that's really important for
cool to
creating
see.
content. If you can captivate an audience that aren't a part of that section, that's massive. Like for me, when I first was like getting into the kind of YouTube scene and stuff, like every other DayZ player, people find Frankie and how he made his content.
Mhm.
And even if you didn't play DayZ, which I didn't at the time, you watch one of his videos and then you wanted to, you know?
That's
Which
why I
not
bought a computer. That's why I
Yeah,
built one.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
that's
And
why a
like
lot of people built a computer, was for DayZ, I think.
and I think an
They saw those
important
videos.
thing to touch on in regards to being a brand is if you can do that, not only are you a brand for your audience, you're also a brand for other businesses to then work with, you know? Like
Mhm.
if people can see, oh, he's pulling this amount of numbers and drawing in the X amount of people from out of section, then we can capitalize on that, which is realistically
Mhm.
speaking like how businesses work, you know? Like if you can be a valuable asset, they'll work with you. If you can both gain from it, then they'll do that.
You might as well.
Uh,
Yeah.
which is why Slob is such a good example because he obviously tied both sections together whilst he was transitioning and very quickly was like, this is where I'm at. And then drew a lot of the DayZ community into Tarkov. And now I see like big streamers who used to be big DayZ streamers playing Tarkov because to transition from one game to the other is very easy. But with a game like Tarkov, there is so much extra like mental real estate to go through to explain, to kind of show. And then also it's a massive show of your skill as well
Mhm.
because that game is so hardcore, which is what's made it a very good platform for content creation,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah. And to build on what you just said, as far as building a brand and companies wanting to work with you. So like I have some experience with this, not really a lot. Like I have two companies currently that I'm talking to that I really want to work with, and they want to work with me. We haven't ironed out the details, but before that, there were times like I tell the story all the time. Like I went to TwitchCon 2018, and I talked to so many different booths. HyperX being one of them. I love HyperX. I love him. I get behind him completely, 100%.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad. But nobody will get behind you if you're not at a certain level. So like
Yeah.
it's important to understand what sort of goal you want to achieve as a creator or if you, for a brand, and to understand it and to be able to explain it. Because if you don't know what your long term goals are and what you want to do ultimately, no one's going to get behind you. No one's going to want to get behind you.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case for me. They looked at me as an affiliate, and affiliate was a step down from partner. And like, they take that seriously. They're looking like every application I looked at, like they'd hand out clipboards, and I'd look at the first question, and are you a partner? And like that stood out to me, and I was really upset about that. Like, and I still kind of am. It still kind of makes me mad because I know a lot of fantastic creators that are affiliates, and they're just, I mean, people just don't take affiliates seriously all that much.
But you got to say that probably seeing that probably pushed you even further, like
I
even
mean,
harder to
it did because
obtain that partnership.
it did because it made me angry, and it still makes me angry. Because like I know a ton of people out there that are like, dude, they're fantastic, but it's just you know, I don't know. One of the biggest things that I always wanted is I just wanted to be seen at this in the same respect as other creators. That's it. Like I just want to be considered a peer and not just, you know, a streamer that's either gonna, you know, I don't know. People will view other creators in different lights, but I just want to be taken seriously, you know, like this is something I love to do, and I want people to want to watch what I'm creating or trying to accomplish, and if they do, that's great. If they don't, if they can offer me some sort of feedback, that's fantastic too. But to be turned away without even looking at what I have to offer is really, really frustrating as a creator. And if you're building a brand and you're trying to get out there, and there's so many stories with so many different business models, not just necessarily with like video game or online creation, but like even like fashion creation. Like they're sketching these outfits, and they're coloring them, they're getting them together, even stitching them together. And like when you're trying to sell a product, people will like, you know, you can see it on Shark Tank. Like, okay, have you done this? What's your profit margin? It's a perfect example. And like, oh well, for that reason I'm out, because you haven't, you don't even know what you're trying to sell me. You know what I mean? So like,
it's all about the pitch.
It's important to know what directions you want to go in the long term while you're building a brand. Whether you're doing Twitch streaming, whether you're doing music, whether you're doing photography, it doesn't matter. You have to know what route you want to go, of ultimately where you want to be, so you can sell that as not only you want to sell yourself, but you want to sell your vision. You know, and that's super, super important. Sorry about the dog.
I think the thing is as well, like an important part of being a business is having a product, and like you say, what's the best way to put it? You don't want to be the person, and like I know like a lot of streamers, like bigger streamers, are very aware of this, and I think we touched on this in last week's episode about you being a rung on a ladder to some people. Like businesses will have that same approach to you if you're trying to do that. Like I know in the music side of things, a lot of these major companies do talk to each other, and if there are people trying to do shady stuff, they just get blacklisted. And it's the same with a lot of companies. Like for example, in a lot of Discords I'm in, there's like a share your content thing, and that's great if you know the audience you're trying to share it with, you know. So like for example, if I stream, I'll pop my link into JR's chat. I know loads of people from JR's chat. I'm not trying to bait his audience, but I know people in that audience, you know.
If I felt that somebody was trying to just use me for that wouldn't be there. But like, everybody that's in my Discord, I genuinely like. I have a section full of creators, affiliates, and partners alike. There's no desertion. And one of the things actually that really, now that I'm talking about it, there are a few Discords that I can think of off the top of my head where it actually made me really angry. But they had a partner section, and then anybody else that wasn't a partner wasn't labeled. And one of the biggest things that drives me away from a Discord actually is when people aren't labeled as creators, and the person that owns that Discord knows that person's a streamer. I think they might not think about it, but in my eyes, it's super disrespectful because, and that's that's why I try to label everybody. We're all equal, we're just creators. That's why that's the way it is in my Discord.
I think that's the weird thing about partnerships is it is a very big milestone because you put so much effort into getting there, and it opens up, I think, a lot of doors. But at the end of the day, like you're if you want to call it a job, for some people it is a job, but your hobby job, whatever it might be, from that day that you didn't have partnership to where you get partnership, that switch, you're still doing the exact same thing. Like nothing really changed all too much. Like you're not just gonna let up because you got partnership. So why should someone view you differently because you have it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
that is an ongoing issue that I have noticed. Is there is not with every partner, obviously, but there is a bit of a and YouTube's the same thing. Like I have X amount of subscribers, therefore I am this over you, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
if YouTube or Twitch or whatever platform you were on was a corporation that you worked for, and you were and like for example, if I was like a sales assistant and a supervisor told me to do something or a manager told me to do something, I'm obliged to do that because I
Hmm.
work for that company. Twitch isn't like that. Obviously, if you work for the company, Twitch it is. But like for example, if JR said that my content was shit because he's a partner, that doesn't make his opinion more valid than mine. What was my train of thought? Oh yeah, that was it. Um, I've seen some content, and we touched on this of people with 100,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers, 300,000 subscribers, um, and when you know the background of their content or how that content is made or some of the creative decisions that they've made doesn't necessarily coincide with their numbers.
Hmm.
And I found a channel the other day. The guy's called Sneck, I think his name is SNECC, and he makes Tarkov content. His content is ridiculously good, super high quality, super informative, super like well made, well rounded, and he's got like 120 subscribers maybe. And it's like that puts it all into context of your numbers are one
Well,
thing, your
I think a
brand's
lot
another.
of what the numbers have to do with it is, and I don't want to say people with higher numbers aren't going to be like revolutionary or anything, but you'll see a channel just like explode out of
Mhm.
nowhere because they're doing something that nobody else is doing. And a lot of that I guess creativity comes out of I guess that grind
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
being such a low number. So it's just you got to try to find that little niche that you're in and do something new, I guess. Like that's how you'd kind of grow to those numbers in a way.
Yeah.
And to touch on what you said a little bit earlier, and let me be clear on this. Like, I understand that there needs to be some sort of separation, and like you really have to like in most at least companies' eyes, right? Like they look for that check mark as a starting point for them because they know that you can generate an audience and they know that they have
Mhm.
people that they can look at whatever sponsor link or whatever you're trying to sell that you really enjoy. um, I get that to a certain light. I do, but at the same time, it's like, how do you know? Like, how before you get to that point, how do you know that person's not great that they can't already like there are affiliates
Hmm.
with 100 or more viewers. Bruce Cooper is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Bruce
Mhm.
Cooper, he's usually got 50, 60, 100, sometimes 200 people in his stream, and I mean the dude's sensational, and people really really like what he has to say, including myself. Like
Yeah.
I could sit there and listen to Bruce like all day, and I think there's a lot to be offered from Bruce from a sponsor. If he wanted to get behind something and they told him no because he wasn't a partner, I'd be heartbroken for him because the dude,
Yeah.
he has an audience, he has a brand,
Mhm.
he's
Mhm.
fantastic, and it just it's just one of those things. I don't know. It can be frustrating, and I know that from personal experience. It is super frustrating. But if you're trying to get behind a brand and they tell you no because you're not this, then like
Without so much as a look at your content or audience or anything. Yeah.
just like Justin said earlier, man, it's got to push you forward.
Yeah.
And that is my advice for sure. Just let it drive you because it's gonna happen. Like you're gonna want to get behind, G Fuel or GamerSups, and they're gonna tell you no, probably if you're just starting out. But
Mhm.
don't let it discourage you. Don't get discouraged. Let it drive you when you fail or when you're told no. And obviously take criticism wherever you can get it. Sometimes criticism can be super salty, but it might be really, really character building for you
Yeah.
when you're building yourself up, whatever you're creating, whether it's Twitch or whatever, doesn't matter. So I think it's super crucial to be able to take a little bit of both
Yeah.
worlds, both lights.
I also think it's important. Say you're in the like 50 average viewers area, right? Say you're on that path up to partner and you're building up steam and the people have got your back kind of thing, and you're looking out for these like brand deals or potential sponsorship opportunities. Um, it's also important to be very aware when a company is in a position to like not support you, but use you to get what they want.
Mhm.
And it is a lot more common than people really want to let out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
say,
I
for
was
example, so like if a company approaches, JR and it
Mhm.
is a product he might not believe in, but then they might like sweeten the deal. Oh, we'll send you this, we'll send you that. Like that has the potential to really damage your brand for the sake of them getting a bit of exposure. So it's important to be aware of what's a good deal and what's a bad deal, and then from your own business perspective, decide, because someone could offer you a grand, 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, however much, to advertise a product which could be absolutely trash. But then if you then lose your entire audience, you're losing money just because this one solid
Mhm.
number doesn't make it a good deal. So
More
be
about the
very
long
aware of
term.
that. I think is just one point to add in whilst we're on the topic of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Bailey, you'd probably know about like the music industry
Mm,
and signing labels and stuff like
for
that.
sure. Oh,
Like
for sure. Yeah.
those labels could be the worst thing to happen to some of
Hmm.
these artists because they take control of everything that they let out. And I think that's
Yeah.
why you're starting to see a lot more people go independent and
Yeah.
just trying to make their own like brand, like
Yeah.
exactly just
Yeah.
their brand and trying to pitch
I'll give a
themselves
quick
out.
breakdown of like an example of that. So the way it works essentially is if you get offered a publishing deal, that might sound great. The company that you signed with contractually own all of the music you make in the period of which you're in that contract for, right? So, and this has happened to a prime example of this is Alter Bridge, actually, quite a big hard rock band. They signed with a record label and recorded an entire album, and they were sitting on it ready to release. They're really excited, and the album said, "No, we're not releasing this album. It's not happening." And they were like, "Well, it's your job to do that,
Mhm.
so do it." And they were like, "No, we're just not going to release your album." So then what they ended up doing is buying out the record label and split it between their band, took full ownership of it, and had to release it that way, and are still paying off the debt from that to this
Mhm.
day. But like, there's things where because music obviously works on revenue, so think of it like a view is a listen,
Yeah.
like a movie is a CD kind of thing. There'll be different splits of revenue, like there is when you go from affiliate to partner. Someone donates, you get 50, they get 50. Works kind of similar in the music industry. But when you're smaller, the amount of money they take gets bigger and bigger under the premise of, oh, we'll expose you, we'll blow you up. But realistically speaking, if a track is listened to 100,000 times and you generate X amount of £1,000 revenue, if a company's taking 80% of that, you would have made more from 100 views
Mhm.
than you would have 100,000. So you got to read in between the lines, because there are some people out there who will try and take complete advantage of what you've built to get an extra leg up on the ladder, as it were.
And it's to the point now where we'll see artists pass away, and these record labels are still trying to take advantage of their
Hmm.
name and their brand that they established, and putting out music that doesn't even represent them in the
Yeah.
slightest. Like that doesn't have their sound, doesn't have their character, and it's all just because of the name. And I don't know,
Hmm.
it's just to me, it's pretty sick. Like it's twisted, but
you
it's
know,
just the world we live in, I guess, and you
You
mon-
just
got to
got to be
keep
careful,
yourself from getting
careful of
into that.
contract.
money is the
What was that?
motive, man. Money's the
Yeah.
motive. That's
Hmm.
what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, and we talked about this in whatever episode it was. I can't remember, but like money doesn't drive me. I mean, it drives me, like, you need money, but like I don't focus on money. I never do.
No,
I don't
Mhm.
even
no.
like to talk about money.
Like
I don't.
I think we could kind of relate to this. We need money in order to fund our passions,
Mm-hmm.
and the money we make is going straight into, let's say, our equipment to make our
Yeah.
content better. Like for me, trying to save up to get like new camera body or new lens, like
Hmm.
any money that I get is basically just going straight into that.
Yeah.
So then I can use that to further my progress. Like I
Yeah.
don't really care about some of the more expensive things in life, or like I don't know, as long as I'm living comfortably, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. I'm with.
my
I'm
end
completely
goal is
with you,
honestly to live in a garage and like have a
dude. And
loft,
like
and that's it. I don't want a big house or anything like that. Like
that.
some people might want that.
There are people that get so caught up in the
Yeah.
industry. Like, I could name so many YouTube creators that they live in LA now and they got $1 million life, and they post a video with like an outline, like, I bought this shoes for this big, like, 6 figures, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I could never see my like I'm sort of like I have the what it's called like the Bill Gates approach sort of thing. Like if I was the richest creator on any platform, I would still wear North Face t-shirts with North Face hat, and I wouldn't have some big extravagant mansion. But I might have a nice old like vintage car because I've always kind of wanted like a muscle car. But that's it, man. Like I just want land for my dogs to run around. Like I don't like I just want to be comfortable and be comfortable with my life. Like life is so damn short, and I don't know, man. Like as I've gotten older, I've come to the realization like it's not necessarily about the nicer things. It's more about the comfort that you're living, like your happiness. Because as you get older, you know, you might forget what really makes you happy because you're so focused on working and like. And
you're not gonna be worried about that $6,000 pair of shoes once you're 80 years old.
No, you're gonna be like, shit, I should have did this. Or I should have lived this way. Like I should have focused on my happiness. And like, so it's so important. Like, and also what's really, really important since we're talking about it is while you're building a brand, if you're getting stressed, man, it's good to step away. It's very, very good to step away, take a look at things while you're gone, and maybe other people will come back and say, hey, like, I noticed you're taking a break. That's good. I really could notice that you were frustrated, and it really wasn't that great to watch. And I've had that myself. Like, you know, why don't you just take off? Like, because clearly you're not happy right now. You don't want to be here. And I can't lie. Like, I'm not a person that can lie. So like, I wear how I'm feeling. You can see it. I mean, that's just the way I am.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, so it's good to take a step back sometimes and while you're building and try to see what you can do to change up your whatever content you're creating, and see where you can go from there, and then come back full force. And you might even do better when you come back. Like you might even do way better. And most of the time, like we said, I think it was last episode, is most creators don't take time off. They work too much all the time.
That's how you burn yourself out.
Yeah, you burn yourself out.
And that can damage a brand as well. Like, there's certain content creators I've seen who just obviously aren't having a good time. It's very apparent. And like if I've had a bit of a rubbish day and I'm feeling a bit low and I open up a stream, like, I'll just chill out. And that person is just angry, frustrated, not having a great time, feeling really negative. Like, not that that's anything against that person, that's how they're feeling, and you know, feel how you want to feel kind of thing. But as a person who wants to be brought up, I don't want to watch that. And I think we can all think of examples of people who have just gone so hard on the grind that they have just bottomed out, and that has been their downfall, is the fact they didn't take a break out of fear of losing the numbers. But I've taken 2 like long-term breaks, or long-term being like a month, maybe a month and a half. One after Daisy, because I as like a creative person who's done like graphic design, media, music, all this stuff, like I'm a perfectionist and I know what I'd want to watch, and that's the type of content I want to make because that's the stuff I enjoy doing. So if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, people aren't enjoying watching it. You know, if I'm playing Daisy and I'm running for an hour and a half, get into one gunfight and die, rinse, repeat for 6 hours, that's not enjoyable. Like you need to be doing stuff. If you can maintain an audience with character and do that, that's great. But I was new at the time and had no idea, so I had to take a break then and came back and did a whole rebrand and, you know, posted it here, there, and everywhere. Like, this is my thing now, and this is how I look. This is my image, and that was really refreshing for me. And I needed to do that because there wasn't any overhead pressure of maintaining something that I wasn't doing. But like, I still have people who come in my chat now. Like, I spoke EFT yesterday at like 2 a.m. and I had people come into my chat who have been there. Like, one of the guys, Jason, he followed me from the 3rd day I started streaming, and he still comes in, and he's in US time, and he'll pop in at like 7 a.m. his time and be like, I just want to pop in and say hi and hope you're doing well, you know? And you do get people who stick there, and you've got to look after those people because they are a rare person to find.
Yeah, you always have people come and go. I mean, just I mean, but you also have to get used to that too. Like, I've gotten, you know, I was, and one of the biggest misconceptions when I first started was that I thought it was going to be easy. Like, once I had people come in, they were never going to leave, right?
Yep.
Where I have people come in every night, and I can think of a few just
like
from the last few days.
It's just going to keep building and building on itself.
Right. Well, I think of people. I've got my originals. I've got people that come in from my first year streaming,
but not all of them is
no.
What you're getting
God,
at. Like,
no. So like. I think, and obviously, like, and this is, I saw this somewhere. I'm not sure how accurate it is to this day, but they say for every 1,000 followers, you get 10 people to stay, right? Yeah, which I kind of find credible. I'm about 8,000 followers on Twitch, and I have about, I'd say 80 is fair,
Yeah.
concurrent every day. I mean, I'll sit over 100 some days, but generally, like if you average it out,
As an average, yeah.
it's probably about 80 people, which is cool. I mean, I'm super happy with that. Like, remember I started at 0 and I had 0 for a long time. So I was just very happy to get 10, 15, 20 people, and we sat at 20 to 40 for a real long time. And as you're building yourself up too, like it's okay to celebrate and enjoy and not be so serious. And that's something that I'm super guilty about. Like I would see the number of 20 and 30 and 40 and be like, that's not fucking good enough. I'm trash, right? I'm too serious. Like I got to get this number. I got to this number. And it became so much of a focus on numbers, whether it be subs that day or donate. Like I hate to put that on screen. Like, yeah, like we all want to generate that certain amount of whatever that day, and it helps out huge to track those things. And you should in some ways, but it shouldn't be the focus, man. That's what became the focus of my stream for a long time, and I think that's why I wasn't successful. And one of the best things that I ever did, and one of the worst things that I ever did at the same time, and I still do it, was study streaming. I turned it into, like, I studied it very, very hard, creating. Like, I was YouTubing every day. I was Googling every day. I was reading forums. I was watching channels and studying what they were doing. And, like, that was a good thing for me to understand that information, but it was also a bad thing because I was comparing myself and saying that this thing wasn't good enough, or looking at this person's achievements. I've been streaming for 3 months. I'm a Twitch partner. I average 200 viewers, whereas I've been streaming for 2 years and I have 5-10 viewers. You know what I mean? So I mean, it was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing for me to study that. And I don't know. I mean, I'm a perfectionist. Like I want everything I do that's attached to my name and my brand to be perfect. And that's another thing too. If you guys are building a brand and you're building yourself up, no matter what you're doing, think about it like this: whatever you're putting out there, that's the final product. Do you want your name attached to that? And if you don't, then don't put it out.
Don't put it out.
It's just not worth your time. Like, and I learned that from my most recent boss that retired and went to do another career. He used to say, JR, I want to tell you this because you do great work. If you're not proud of it, you don't want your name attached to it, don't come to me with it because I don't want to see it. Right. And that was huge for me. Like sometimes there were like super hectic day in the retail business. I would throw it together and be like, all right, it's done, just to tell him it's done. And he'd look at it and be like, this is not your work. I know you. This is not your work. You rushed to get this done. And that's when he told me that. And it's super good advice. I mean, there's a guy with 25 years of business and experience right there telling me that. And that was huge for me. And now I can extend that message through creating, and it fits so true. Like, especially, it actually fits more in creating than it does anything else. Like, if you're rushing a project together just because you want to get stuff out there and get it done, people are going to catch on to that. People are going to catch on that it doesn't look that great. Sure, there are people that can procrastinate, like I do with every YouTube video that I do. Usually it's all done within the day, and it's done that morning, it's uploaded and it's tweeted out and blah 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 blah. I work really good under pressure, but in the same light, like when I take things in time and I build up over time, most of the time things look way better, or they perform way better, or they are way better. They're more enjoyable. So taking your time is so important. I think most people are in a rush, including myself. I was in a rush to get all the success, or what I deemed to be successful in creation, whereas really I needed to step back and I just needed to take my time, because there's no timeline for it. You're going to find success when you find it, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. It can be for some people, but it's a process. Everything is a process for creating.
I think that's something to keep in mind. Oh, carry on, Justin. I'll let you.
I was gonna say, a big thing to take away from that is the quality over quantity. This past drift season, I think that's probably the biggest thing I learned to take away from everything. There was certain events where it was almost like a game, just to put like a number on it. Some of us would take like 3,000 pictures per event, and it almost turned into a game of seeing who could take the most pictures at a certain point. And then someone told me, they're just like, hey, like this was at an event. They're just like, you got to stop taking so many pictures. Like it it'll be beneficial for the whole process of like calling through your pictures and trying to figure out which ones are going to be keepers, but it's also going to make you think more about like your composition. I'm sure you can relate to with making videos and stuff like that. You you need to put more thought into it and less just kind of point and shoot and just kind of winging it, because like at the end of the day, you're you're gonna have something better to work with, and it's also going to mean more to you, and all that energy you're putting into it is gonna be better off.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um,
And I think
something to
that's why
keep in
it's
mind.
important to not aim like for the 1% straight away as well. Because I know a lot of people have got into this with any kind of production at all. Is it's like you want to get into it and go like full steam ahead because you think that's going to be the most beneficial thing. I did it.
Mhm.
I streamed every day for hours every single day, and I didn't have time to just sit and be like, no, what did I do that stream that I maybe didn't like, or what did I do that I could improve on? Because you don't get that time. If you can spend the time to move kind of methodically and figure out where you want to go, you're gonna do way better. That's the one thing I don't like about like so kind of what you were saying, JR. Is like when people break down streamers and people study them, there's ways to do it. And the way to do it is not to isolate the 1% of people who have got to where they are either through time, luck, or skill. Like some people have been like Summit, prime example. He's not one of the OGs. He's been there forever. Like he
Mhm.
is part of Twitch now. Like he is there. That's what he does, and that's probably never going to go away because he's been there that long and he's matured with it. And there obviously are other people who have just popped up out of nowhere and they got lucky or they did the right things to get themselves to where they are, but aiming for that out of the bat is not the correct way to do it. It's a process, so be okay with the process.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and to touch on what you said, so a lot of the a lot of the misinformation I feel actually is a lot to do with the bigger streamers like Summit. So like,
Mhm.
I watched Summit for years. I absolutely love him. He's my favorite streamer of all time. So like, if they ask him questions about how to be successful, he gets that every single day, all the time, hundreds of
Mhm.
times a day. And one of the things that he says, and like there's a video of it somewhere, is that when I first started, the platform was young. I quit my job. I streamed every single day. I streamed 8 to 10 hours a day, and that's how I built my audience. That was Summit's formula. That was a different time. That doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that it's going to work now. And I'm guilty of what you
Mhm.
said too, Netsy. I streamed
Mhm.
every day at some point for 8 to 10 hours a day, and that didn't work for me. It
Nope.
didn't work for me at all.
Didn't you have like a 365 challenge going on at one point,
A
if I
360.
remember correctly,
What do you mean?
where you wanted to stream every day for like some prolonged period of time?
365 days. So I wanted to do a
Yeah.
year. So I can't remember who it was. He's super successful now. I think it was like the guy's logo is a grenade. I can't remember what it is. Frag something. I can't remember what his name is, but he streamed for like so many days in a row, and it was like it was a year or it was beyond that, and
Mm.
Mhm.
his channel blew up because of that.
Yeah.
Well, not because of that, but like that really helped
It helped. Yeah.
his brand
Yeah.
grow. Yeah, so I'm like, oh sweet, I want to do that. Also, a big another one, good close friend of mine, Six Max. Um, I asked him multiple times because I can't remember how long it was, but like when he was getting partnered, when he had just gotten partnered prior to that, and during that process where he had applied, he had done so many days straight. I can't remember how long. It was a long time straight. It was a long time, at least 8 hours a day. This is before he had two kids.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, and I remember asking him like just recently when we were playing, I'm like, yo, dude, like, do you remember how long it was? And he can't remember, but I know it was over 30 days. And
Mm.
I'm proud, I did 33 days straight. That was the longest I could do. And I remember I did it, and it was in a May and earlier in the year. It was like a couple years ago, and it drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I was not happy at all.
Mhm.
That did not work for me. So, like, um, and then that'll bring me to the point, like, if you're creating, you have to understand your limits of rest. Like you do have to rest because if you're not resting, not necessarily taking a step back, but rest, like get sleep and don't be
Think
on
about what you're
on
working on.
exactly. Don't be on it so much because when you're eating correctly and you're sleeping correctly and you're not necessarily like stuck in front of a screen the entirety of the time, you're actually going to find that
Yeah.
your head's more clear and you're going to be able
Mhm.
to create better. Whereas, when I tried to do everything that everyone else did, and that was I studied everything. I tried to do what Summit did, took his advice, didn't work. I tried to do what Six Max did, didn't work for me. Six Max averaged like 300 to 400 viewers when he was doing it. Me, hell no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I remember like quitting early, like raging and like screaming on mic, like fuck this game, like I'm not doing this anymore. I'd get off the air, but like at least I streamed this day. I'd do at least 3 hours every day, and I did that for 33 days straight, and I was
Just to
absolutely
check it off the box. Yeah.
just to get by. right?
Mhm.
And that was a huge flaw in like my content creation, like creating as a streamer. And I always resort back to or think about that if I'm trying to like go hard. It's like and another thing is too is like as creators sometimes we go a little bit too hard. And again that goes hand in hand with taking a step back, taking a look at things, or just make sure you're well. You have to make sure your mental health is there. You have to make sure that you're eating correctly. You also have to make sure you're sleeping. One of the biggest things that I recently was like following was Steve Harvey said, you can't be successful on 8 hours of sleep. I agree with that to some point, because there has to be sleepless nights where you're really working at a project, you really want to get it out, and you want to bust your ass. And in some ways, like I said earlier, the pressure can be fantastic for your brand and creating. But at the same time, like if you're not taking care of your body, you're not taking care of your mind, you're not going to be in the right mental state to create, and your work's going to be shit. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're streaming or not. So it's like it's super important, like in family time, significant other time, like having your heart feel full is very, very good for creating, because you're happy and then your brain starts
A lot of
flowing.
that energy that we put into it, I guess, gets channeled from all that emotion. So it's just
It's a
in
it's a
order
good
to
energy. Yeah. It's
yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
You gotta have that energy to give, and if you're not setting yourself up in a way to put it out, then you're not gonna develop anything that's worthwhile sometimes, and that's why you just gotta walk away and take a break at times because
Yeah, and like
it gets stale, I guess.
this morning, like I told you guys, we started a little bit late because my dad had
Mm.
car issues, and I
Mhm.
drove whatever to go see him. That was super good. Like I didn't really sleep well last night. I'll be honest with you. But I woke up tired this morning. I was super energetic. I'm like, okay, I'm tired, but I'm energetic at the same time. Like I'm
Yeah.
super excited for the podcast. I went out, seen my dad, and I just sat in the kitchen. Like we took care of it in 10 minutes, and I sat in the kitchen with my mom and dad and just shot the breeze. And like I haven't seen them in a couple weeks, so like that was, for me, it was really good for the soul. And like now,
Yeah.
to this point, so far, we've only got a few minutes left here, but the podcast has been super good. It's been really good. We've had a fantastic conversation. I'm very clearly not, my energy's not all there. I'm very tired, but the podcast has been
We're still
sensational
here,
to
and
this
that's what
point.
matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and I think people were
And
really.
that's okay though. Like I think that, like I've been sleeping terribly
Mhm.
lately. And like
Can
I
relate.
went from going through a phase of getting up really early, literally out of bed, in the shower, a cup of coffee within like 15, 20 minutes, and then I was like ready for my day. And that's great. That works for some people. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. Like I'm a creative person. I will sit up till 3 a.m. making a video if that's what I want to do. And I've done that countless times. Same with music. That's how I work best creatively. Now physically, that's not the case at all, because I wake up at like 11, 12, and I'm like, oh, and then that
Mhm.
domino effects, and to the point I'm up to like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm
Mhm.
getting up at 2 in the afternoon, all because it's like, oh, I enjoy being up late. You know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
that's a domino effect. It's important to take that break. Like I'm taking a week off because it's like my birthday next week, and I'm going to see family, and I've got friends coming
Happy early
over.
birthday.
Thank you. Um, so yeah, it's going to be super good. But I've just, whilst we were talking on the stream streak, I just looked up something. And there's a guy on Reddit who has said, tonight will mark my 989th consecutive day of streaming at an average of 3 hours a day. Right?
What
That's
does
what
he
he said.
stream?
I don't know. So he was trying to find the current record for the most consecutive views. No, most consecutive days streamed. Right. So
Mhm.
top comment. And I want to know you guys' opinion on this. The guy said, "I'm sorry, but how do you average 3 hours a day for the past 3 years and still average one viewer? That's not something to brag about unless you don't care about that stuff. Then good for you on almost 1,000 days streaming." Now, someone replied to that and said, "Damn, that's rough. I guess that's where leads the advice of just be consistent. Viewers will come eventually. They won't.
Wait, he's
If you stream,
averaging one viewer over that
y-
long?
yeah, yeah." And so the guy said, if you stream for a week and get no viewers or followers, how are you supposed to grow? And I think that is a prime example. Yeah,
That
I'm
just
like, well, huh?
that wraps up everything that
Yeah, like
we've
people
said this whole
say,
Well,
entire
no,
podcast.
not necessarily, because like I did say, nothing is guaranteed Like, not just because Summit did every day 8 to 10 hours a day does not mean just because the guy with the frag grenade is a logo, I can't remember his name, did this for so many days doesn't mean it's gonna work for you.
No.
So like
it works for some people, but it's all individual formula based upon how you.
That guy's mistake is that he thinks that just being on air and hitting go live is enough. It's not enough. So like, I hate to say it, like, don't say that guy's name because I don't want to know. But like, if he's averaging one viewer over 900 consecutive streams, dude, you're not streaming. You're just playing games while you're live. That's it. You're not streaming. Streaming is talking. Streaming is entertaining. Streaming is having a personality. Streaming is having a niche, having a plan, what you want to do that day. You know, you can't just go live, be dead in front of the screen.
On another side of that, we've never watched this dude, but if he's enjoying doing that, like, all power to him. That's what I mean.
I think it's great. I think that's a fantastic thing to set, but we don't know what this guy's ambitions are.
Yeah.
Like, if he just wants to set a record for how many consecutive streams, then good on you, man. But like, if you're trying to grow a brand, that's not working, brother. No. So you got to figure out what you need to do. You need to take a fucking month vacation and come back fresh, because 900 something days, that's insane. That's extensive.
Like, at that point, maintaining that average viewership, that's actually difficult to do. Like, I just want to clarify that. Like, some people will average like me, like my streams views at the minute, but that's because I took a massive break. I'm recovering from that. But very rarely will I sit at one viewer for like an hour, yet alone 939 days. Like that.
That's
surely
wild,
at some
man.
point, that's crazy. Surely at some point you must be like, and that's average, keep in mind as well. But also take this into consideration. He could be getting 50 to 100 views for the past month, but on average of over 939 days, that's like 3 people.
Yeah. You know what? And to say this too, again, like, I averaged, I think, 1 viewer over my first year streaming, maybe even longer. Like, I had nobody watched my stream for a long time. So like, I relate to that in some lights. But
me too.
The reason why my stream picked up is because I changed. So if this person that's done this many streams wants success, he's got to change. Something's got to give. Like, and it took me a long time, but I wanted it really badly. So like, I dissected the shit out of myself in my stream, tried to find my flaws and tried to build up on them and change things. And then I ended up streaming different games. I played Miscreated for a big portion of my early streaming career, when I had like some of the clips in my intro, like 600 followers. That was the second year of me streaming, second or third year of me streaming, I think. So I don't know. I don't know what that guy's ambitions are, but again, that's actually perfect that you brought that up. That touches on not everyone's formula is going to work. There's no guarantee that you could be in front of a screen every day. It doesn't mean you're going to have 10,000 viewers. Doesn't mean shit. You could still have 1 viewer. You could still have no viewers. It's important to understand when you're building a brand that it's a lot of trial and error. You're going to have to find out what works for you. And if you're healthy and happy mentally, then success will find you eventually. It's just a matter of picking at it and just keep trying to do things differently. Try to be unique. Try to create outside of the box. And don't necessarily listen to what everyone's going to tell you, because it might not work for you. You could take it and form it into your own thing and then put it out there for everyone to see. And that's what creating is all about, really, is like building up off of each other. Like, there's really not that much that's original anymore. Like, a lot of the times people will be like, oh, I was inspired by this so-and-so artist, or I was inspired by this so-and-so creator. You know, like, a lot of my inspiration that I draw for my stream is from Summit. Like, I love Summit. I love to watch it. And I've tried to be that, because that's how I am in real life, but I've tried to be that very laid back, chill, but I also want to be good at games too. I'm not good at every game. I get fucking destroyed all the time on every game, right? It is what it is. Like, I'm not Summit. But, you know, people really, they come into the stream and they like the chill, laid back. And that's who I am at IRL. I'm completely the same on camera, on podcast. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't change. I'm not different.
And from watching you from 3 viewers, 4 viewers to now getting partnership yesterday, you haven't changed at all.
Oh man, I think it's super important to be the same. Like, not necessarily like you can change, but don't change who you are because you've got so and so viewers. Like, that's not gonna
money.
That will only cause you issues down the line. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've seen like videos on Twitter of like big famous like TikTok people or whatever who get millions and millions and millions and millions massive, and they'll do like a fan meetup or something, and people are paying extortionate amounts of money to get photos of these people. And there's one video in particular, I can't remember the name of the group, but they're all just stood there on their phones. And then someone walks up to them to get a view, and they're like super excited because they're like really big fans. They're like, oh wow, wow, and they just don't care because
You see
all
that
it
a
is to
lot.
them is a number, you know. And I know that JR, if you like were at TwitchCon and one of your followers or subs or just someone who knew you came up to you and was like, oh my god, hi, what's good? You could have a chat with them, you know.
But you know what? In the same light too, like once you get to a certain point, like it becomes, I hate to, not like repetitious. It is repetitious. It becomes like it's usually the same thing, right? And like, and I can understand not wanting to deal with it that day, or like, I understand both sides of the spectrum. Like I personally, I believe that you should always remember where you came from, and you should always like never forget those people that always started watching you or supporting you and like building you up. Like doesn't matter day 1, day 30. You know, within those first couple of years, that's so crucial. So like, you never forget those usernames or those names or those faces of that brand that they're building as well. You never forget those people when you're going up. So, but once you get to a certain point, like you get to Summit's point, or like let's go into YouTube a little bit. You get to Logan Paul's point, like or KSI, or like, you know, whoever PewDiePie. Like PewDiePie is a big one. We talked about a little bit earlier, but he touches on that, like, guys, like people got to stop coming to my house. People, you know, I get greeted when we're out in public. Like, ask if you can take a picture with me instead of just coming up and grabbing me.
I've seen it, yeah, because he lives in Brighton, and I've seen him around a bunch because I live not too far away from wherever he lives. And I go to the beach quite a lot, and that's kind of where he lives. So I've seen him quite a lot. And I actually saw him recording the video to Bitch Lasagna. I saw them all recording it, and I was just sat on a bench with the missus, just having a coffee and chilling. I was like, "Huh, that's PewDiePie. That's a bit weird." And obviously, being a content creator myself, I'm not just gonna be like, "Ah!" But I'm not even joking. He must have been stopped doing what he's doing at least 20 times in the 15 minutes I was there.
Yeah, I mean, a guy like that with 102 or 103 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a whole different realm.
If you meet people who are in a position of fame, or like, there's a lot of musicians that I've met, like face to face, just in the street, because Brighton's a pretty big music place. I go to a lot of the same rehearsal spaces. They're people. So I can have a conversation with like the vocalist of my favorite band ever, and it'd be like, you are a person who's done something I approve of, whether you've done it for 5 people or 50,000, 5 million, whatever, still the same thing. And I think that's kind of where things start to warp a little bit, is just because they have a number next to their name doesn't mean they're not a person. Because that would drive me nuts, because I like my space. If I was super famous and super rich, and every time I went to go get some milk, there was like 100 people trying to take my photo, I'd hate it.
And you know
I couldn't deal with that.
Too. And I've dude, lately I've been feeling like this. That sounds so bad. Like, but I've been feeling like this. Like, it feels like now that I'm finding a small amount of success, like it feels like I've got DMs, like a wall of DMs on Twitter. I got them on Discord, and like everybody's like trying to like gain information off of me, which is great. I don't mind helping, but it becomes a little maddening when it's like, you get this question, and then it just keeps coming.
The same thing time and time again.
That's why a lot of people make videos. Like you said, someone made a video that was kind of relating to its success. So like,
and that's also
if someone
something
asked about
it, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I DM'd a person who shoots pictures for like a lot of like R&B and hip hop artists. And I just had a couple questions for him, and he actually pointed me to one of his podcasts, which I thought was great because, you know, he probably answered a lot of the questions that I would have, and that sort of thing is perfect. So
yeah,
I think that's kind of a big reason why we're doing this as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It just feels like, going back to what I was saying before, it just feels like everybody kind of wants a piece, and it's not just creation wise. It's like my family wants me to come over and have time. The girl that I'm talking to wants me to work less and come see her more, which is fine. And then people are asking me creative questions out the ass, out the wazoo, and it's just gonna get worse. Like, and I'm prepared to take that step. Like, I know this comes hand in hand with creating. Like, once you hit a certain point, people are gonna want to know what you did to help yourself succeed a little bit more. But now from here on out, it's like, and again, this goes back into building up a brand. Like, once you make it to a certain point, the work don't stop. It just gets
No.
worse. It gets harder.
No.
So now I have partnership. Now I have another goal that I want to achieve really badly, and that's I want to get 100K on YouTube, and I want to build up that brand too. That's part of my brand that's going to be connected directly to DudeiRage.
Yep.
So it's like I have to get the content out, whether it's the podcast, whether it's DayZ or any other game. Like I want to do that. So that's next. So now I have to work harder because arguably YouTube can be way harder than live streaming. I mean, YouTube.
It opens up a lot of more avenues for you.
It
so
absolutely
you can kind of
does.
diversify.
So,
and
like-
make it easier for you. You don't.
Another point, diversity. So like that's perfect that you brought that up. Like as you're building a brand, it's important to be all over the place. Be as many places as you can be, man. Like that's going to help you loads. Like one of the biggest mistakes that I made in creating a brand was that, and you remember this, Justin, since you've been around for so long, I didn't take YouTube seriously at all. Where the reality of it is if I would have been creating videos like I am now and trying to learn and take it seriously like years ago, I'd have been creating at the same time as JCon. I'd have been creating at the same time as Running Man and Toprak and Minder and Deadly Slob. You know what I mean? And like that would have helped my channel progress so much more because I get people now. I only get like maybe 200 views average on a video, if that, some weeks on DayZ videos. And I get people that follow the stream from those videos at least twice a week. Hey, I watched the YouTube thing and like it was great, dude. I love your channel. I'm gonna be here now. And like imagine if I had been doing that for the last 5 years, at least once a week, 2 people a week. What's the average there? 2 people a week over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean that's
and it's only exponential from there too.
And that's what I mean. And like the concurrent viewership definitely would have went up. So it's like it was so important for me to be multi-platform, and I just wasn't doing it. So now, like, obviously I've taken a step back and I'm super grateful that I'm, and I love the podcast. The podcast is going to help us even more. It's going to help all of us too, because we're going to be on iTunes. We're going to be on whatever else, other platform we talked about. But like,
Still working it out.
I get subs on YouTube from the podcast, actually, people that don't watch gaming content. I've had multiple people say, I love you guys. I love the podcast. Here's a sub. I can't wait for next week. And that's fantastic. And that's going to help branch out the content.
Great.
Yeah,
and I think the thing about YouTube as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think the thing about YouTube as well, if the less work you can do in your active momentum, for example, if you're a full-time live streamer, that's the only thing you do. Realistically speaking, if you're on one platform, the only time you'll grow is whilst you are active on that platform. If you do YouTube stuff, like I've made YouTube videos when I streamed. And I had quite a few, for my size, quite a few people to be like, wow, like these videos are great. I love them kind of thing. And that's drew people to my channel because it's passive viewership. I'm not working to grow at that point. Those people are there. Like that's how I found Minder. And like I love Minder's content and I've followed him for ages now. But I found Minder through YouTube. And that Minder's, I would say, is probably the content creator that really brought me to Twitch as a platform. Because I didn't know what it was all about. I was a avid YouTube watcher, and then Minder did his Brothers of DayZ series.
Fantastic series, by the way.
Such a good series.
So good.
Shout out to Minder for that. But then I saw him go from that to Twitch, and I was like, wow, that's so great. Like I could interact with it, and that was kind of my introduction to it. But if you can bring in passive viewership and passive growth, that means any hard work you do is just building on what is already growing. You're not trying to pull everything with you, which is why diversifying over multiple platforms is so important. Like if every time I go live, and I tell nobody and I don't tweet about it, I don't put it on Discord, I don't tell my friends, like I don't do anything, it's going to be so much harder to get 1 to 10 than it is to go from 10 to 20, So anything you can do passively to grow, definitely do it.
I mean, and another thing is too, is like if you, this is advice that I saw somewhere, somebody gave me a long time ago, is like you could even reach out to family and friends to like Facebook is actually a huge platform. It's way bigger than when I started. I mean, it was big then, but now it's way bigger now. Like there's Facebook gaming now and all these.
And that's a big thing. I didn't realize how big that was, but that is a big thing.
Every time I see a streamer
I thought
on
it was
Facebook,
a joke, to be honest.
Well,
I thought it was Facebook being like, this is popular. Let's.
I didn't think it was going to be successful, but you're absolutely right. I'm like, they're just doing it to compete, and that's why they started it, right? But like every time I see a streamer live on Facebook, they have thousands of viewers.
Yeah, I'll see like videos of people like streaming whatever. Like there's a bunch of don't know if you guys are familiar, but the whole like Deluxe 4, KYR Speedy, that whole like kind of Call of Duty Funtage originator thing. some of them do Facebook stuff, some of them do Twitch stuff, and I see the views that they are getting on Facebook, and it's like if you were on Twitch, you would be front page. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Well, not arguably,
And
because
that's why a lot of people believe in Mixer as well.
Yeah.
Mixer. I mean, it's good for, to spread your horizons. I would say, I guess, and Mixer. Like, I have a username on Mixer. I'd never go to Mixer unless they paid me ninja money. Yeah, I'd fucking go to Mixer. But it would be a short contract. It would be like a year. I'd come back to Twitch.
Yeah.
Immediately. I mean, I'd be very open about that.
Well, you've seen it happen from time to time. Again, people have gone to Mixer and they've come back, and I don't know what Mixer's like. I've never used the platform.
Yeah, I know a few streamers. Actually, I know one streamer personally, a good friend of mine. He went to Mixer and he came back. So, I mean, and he found success on Mixer, dude. He found a ton of success on Mixer, but he came back to Twitch. I mean, it's just whatever makes you happy,
It's also whatever works for you. Like, sometimes the audience on a different platform will, you'll cater to them more, and that's fine.
But that was part of his brand process too. Like, he had that stage in his career where he went to Mixer and he came back, and I know he brought people over from Mixer to Twitch. He had to. There's no way you wouldn't. I mean, he took people from Twitch to Mixer. Why would it be, foreign to think otherwise for the opposite platform? But yeah, dudes, we are actually well over our time. We are an hour and 17 minutes into the podcast. So we're gonna cut it short here. We went super long today, but it was a really good conversation as always.
Yeah, I
really enjoy your guys' company as always. So if you guys, moral of the story is, if you guys are creating, keep creating, try to be inventive, have fun with it. Make sure you watch yourself, watch your mental health, and you'll find success. You just have to find your own process that works for you. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here, though, guys. If you guys want to keep up with us outside of the podcast, you can find me at twitter.com/DudeiRage, twitch.com/DudeiRage. You can find Mr. Justin and Bailey, Jay Briswell at instagram.com, and N3TSY at Twitch. Yeah, twitch.com/N3TSY and twitter.com/N3TSY_. I remember this time.
There we go. There it is.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. This has been Delete the Podcast. Delete the Vodcast.
There it is.
Delete the Vodcast, episode number 4. Thank you for watching or listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you next